Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3 4. Can everybody hear me okay? Jonathan, can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
All right, so we're at 60 to start off, 5760, goals at 2760, and we're at 20,100 for the NASDAQ to start off. The market's been up through Asia. It would have to break 50 a couple times to go down and test last night's low, which was 5732. 5732 that was created during RB1. So we're minutes away from the news, a couple minutes. Everybody's lined up. Remember, the data has been adjusted over and over again. So the numbers have probably not the kind of effect that you would expect because no one trusts these numbers. I mean, when you abolish 800,000 jobs in one Friday night change, you start wondering about the numbers and how they're calculated. So I think that this report, which is the biggest one of the week, right here prior to the election, I would be a little suspicious. That's all I'm telling you. Skeptical is a good way of saying it. Skeptical. But we'll see. The market will tell us because the market reads through all that stuff and we go. So the first reaction is up. We went to 69.70, back down to 60, 65, 65. I'm looking at stocks, pretty response. Write this down, 486 for the QQQ. We're at 65, 66 right now. Yeah, my data is showing, you're showing 56. I'm showing 56 now. It's a little bit behind. 56 looks good. 56. 50. Let's see what does. Jonathan, will you set the chart on a why don't you set it on a 10 minutes? We're looking at futures. All right, and the low came down to 53, the first pass. Okay, but we're only 1 minute into it, right? 1 minute into it, it's at 57. Apple, I've been watching Apple, is 2163. I'm actually short Apple, so that's gonna be interesting. 44.54. Yeah, okay. So 59 went up to that 69 area and stalled. So that creates an issue. But the QQQ's at 486.40. 486.40. So let's see. John, could you bring the chart up where I can see the NASDAQ also? All right, look at both of them. Basically, we're unchanged so far. Unemployment rate's 4.1%. They just reported 4.1 on TV. It's always a minute behind. Go figure. Back up to 65. All right, what were they estimating, Jonathan? Actual was 4%. They said 4.1 on here. You're saying it's 4, right?
I got 4.1 across the board.
Oh, 4.1. Okay. Forecast was 4.1, previous 4.1. Labor participation. People are going to look at how many government jobs. That's been a big issue where they're hiring a bunch of government employees to pad the payroll, so to speak. We're holding 66, 67. Market's recovering. All right, so Jonathan, go down to a 5 minute chart. Go down to a 5 minute chart. Okay, so that puts it in perspective. Now go to a 10. Okay. All right. 69 was where I saw the spike to. after the news at 66 right now. I've got 487 on the QQQ, which was at 486, so it popped up a point there. Wow.
69 was the high on gold. I don't know if my S&P data is like my high or not, but I got 68 as the high.
Yeah, 68's high, okay. All right, that's a 10-minute chart we're looking at. We're
Yeah,
four
it's a
minutes
10-minute
into it.
chart. Yeah.
We're 4 minutes into it, and you can see we're trading in the top half of the bar. It's holding pretty strong there. I'm looking at other things, NASDAQ. Now I'm starting looking at stocks. For example, a stock I always look at is NVIDIA. NVIDIA is 135.42, 135.42 on NVIDIA. You got gold bullish. Really, you got the whole ETR line green. Yeah. Well, here's questions I ask, okay? They're not selling it off. I think people are digesting what they're looking at. We're 5 minutes into it, right, Jonathan? But we're still holding near the highs. I had a 75 pivot number. I think it was a good pivot number. Yeah, I just don't see, I don't see a clear trade, and we're about 6 minutes in. I like to give it about 10 minutes after a news announcement. And generally speaking, if you got buying or you got money flowing in, you see new numbers. Like gold, for example, focus on gold over it's at 69. It's staying right at its top of its game. And the market's sitting right here, E-mini and thing. 45 is a natural resistance. 204, 145 on the NASDAQ. We just went through it, 44. Now the S&P is moving a little bit higher. Yeah. Now the QQQ is 87. That's pretty substantial because that's above that 87, the 1 point higher area and 87. So it's starting to build some momentum here to go higher. We're 7 minutes into it, 7 minutes into it, and they're slowly buying, I can tell you that. Okay. They're slowly buying it. But they're running into that wall of resistance up there. Gold has hit 70. Look at the ETR line, if you will. You got 25 points on the NASDAQ from 730. You got 5 points on the E-mini from 730. That's basically what that is, folks. And would you add Apple to your ETR line for me? Add Apple. Now, Apple from 730's come down a little bit. It's not much, but it's down 24 cents. Google up 30. NVIDIA's down. If I'm counting, I would say NVIDIA needs to get above about 35, 55 area. S&P's pulled back to 65. Gold went from look at gold difference. When 2760 to 69 made a new high at 70. Gold is definitely bullish based on my reading. Gold, silver, bonds even bullish today. That's interesting. And the E-mini's hanging in there, but the NASDAQ is down near its lows on this bar. And this is a 10-minute chart, Jonathan, 10 minutes. This
Yeah,
is
and
why I
in a
like
minute I'll be able
waiting. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
in 1 minute, I will download data and the 10-minute bar will form officially.
Okay. What I was going to tell people, the reason I like to give a market 10 minutes after a major news like this is to see, did that trend that was initial stay strong, or is it rolling over? If you look at it at 62, we started at 60, didn't we, Jonathan, at 7:30? Yeah, started at 60. You're down there testing where we opened. That's interesting to me. QQQ's down there at about 15 points above where it was at 7:30. But that ETR line helps me to gauge everything. Now look at Apple. Apple had a severe down day yesterday, and Apple is trading near its lows right now. You know, that's the big mama. Nvidia is below the 35.55. So the numbers I walk away with the report are the following. S&P, I'd still go with my pivot, 57.75. NASDAQ, I would go 201.55, 201.55. Dow, I don't trade the Dow much, but it's obviously bullish. The Dow's got 50 points up. You probably take the high on the Dow after the news, and that would be a double pass there. Crude's just stagnant at 71. Gold above 70 would be bullish. I'd give gold 30 minutes because gold is more methodical. Silver 33. If gold goes up and silver stays this firm, you know you're up 15 cents on silver, and now you got this bar forming. We're holding 67 right away. Notice it came down about half of the bar, and now it's staying up there in the top third. They want to go higher. They're having to deal with Apple falling out of bed. It's at 21 now, 221 on Apple and Nvidia. You know, those are two big stocks. $62 is the high of the reference bar at 7. 201.15 is the high. You're above that on the indexes. Okay, there's 68. There's 46. We're about to see something here. Now, let's talk strategy. What could you do this time of morning? Well, you could buy the QQQ. You could buy the SPY. You could buy futures. You could buy futures, or a better strategy would be to sell a put option on the E-mini if this thing starts breaking north. That'd be a better option. Get paid more, less risk. Those are some of the things that you could do with this kind of report. You look at the Genesis scale over there, it's telling you long, 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 and long bonds. That's interesting. Okay. In summary, the market's hanging near its highs, hadn't seen any reason to go short. You'd have to break 57.50 on the S&P. That's the number I'd write down. and you'd have to break 277 on the NASDAQ. To that, you gotta give it the benefit of the doubt as it grinds higher. Gold is bullish. Gold takes out that 70. I think you got to play there. Crude is nothing. Silver, I'd stay away. And that would be the plays I'd take from this unemployment report, okay? They added nationwide 12,000 jobs added in October. Jonathan, that doesn't sound a lot, does it?
Sounds awfully low. Awfully low. Came in over 100,000 less than expected.
12,000 jobs? I bet they were government. I mean, I don't know. I got to see where those 12,000 jobs are. You can't check that, can you? And just let us know. Jonathan's the master of these economic reports.
That's what the non-farm payrolls came in at, 12,000.
Does it tell you where the jobs came from?
Yeah, change the number of people employed during the previous month, excluding the farming industry. Let's go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and see if there's more info here for us.
Healthcare and government. It said, I read it. I thought it was the government. There you have it, folks. Government and healthcare. All right, so here's what, let's go back. I'm gonna wrap it up, but I think this report, let's look at the numbers real quick. But I think you see that the report was not anything to write home about. Apple's weak, staying weak. Nvidia's weak. You got to keep your eye on those two. Crude oil is no trade, and you're gonna have to get above my pivot number 75 to convince me we're long. We're going long. I'm gonna watch. We'll let it develop, but you can see, Jonathan, put it on a 20-minute chart if you will now. Again, the characteristics of the E-mini and NASDAQ, if you spread it out over the 20 minutes, is E-mini is a little stronger than the NASDAQ. NASDAQ's about midpoint of the current bar and would break 201. The real number, write this down, is 275. 275. Breaks that down, we're going lower. For the E-mini, I would use 5750. That's what I take away from the report. Above 75, I'd consider longs. On the E-mini, stay away from Apple long. It's not cheap. It's trending lower. Nvidia needs to get some buying above 35.50. Stay away from crude oil. That's my analysis after looking at it. And a bright spot might be the Russell. It's at 226. I've got pivot numbers. Let me give you the pivot numbers I got for everything. E-mini 5775, NASDAQ 201.75, Dow 42,059. Where's that Dow, John? Is it above it? Dow 42,000. Yeah, it's above it. Okay. Crude 69.46 is pivot. Gold's 27.64. Silver's 33.15. Bonds are 17.25. Apple 2.27. That's bearish. The QQQ pivot is 486.68, right where we are. Folks, it's been a pleasure being with you. I hope you enjoyed this, got something out of it. We'll continue to do key reports through YouTube. Jonathan, what's our schedule today?
We have an earnings session at 10:30, and then we'll wrap up this afternoon at 3 p.m.
You got it. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you.
See everybody on the flip side.